A new way to do news, focusing on useful news, and no news that gives you the blues.
So tonight we're doing the top five stories. And folks, I have to tell you, there's never been anything like it.
It has to be true. I saw it on the news.
This is really your moment, big boy.
Traffic and weather together. Why? You have that on your phone.
Got no job, no car, and you don't even watch the top 5 news.
So many people say you're the smartest person in the world. Well, yes, I watch the top 5 news show. Best news. I watch a little bit of everything, but I would say probably the top 5 news.
The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you again. And we're going to do the top 5 news in just a moment. Thank you for coming in a little bit early. And I thought I would share with you, if it's okay, the top 5 lessons I learned from my dad just before we do the news, just mix things up a little bit. The reason is this is the day my dad went to be with the Lord about a couple decades ago, actually now. But he was my best friend and my dad, and learned a lot of good lessons from him. And I'll share those with you, the top 5 lessons I learned from dad. So the number one thing was management, and this might be helpful for you if you're managing people, which I know a lot of you watching the show do. But I was asking my dad about a variety of different management studies and techniques and strategies, and had read a lot of books on the topic, and was trying to get his advice on managing people. And he said to me something that I'll never forget. He said, Joe, it's more than a strategy overarching. It's more of a one-on-one strategy. You have to find out what makes the guy tick, and then you can motivate the man. And I thought, well, that's pretty good advice that stuck with me over the years. The next one was just kind of a motivational thing that he did with me, where I would have breakthroughs in my recruiting business, which I do. It's my day job, by the way. Spend more time on that than I do on the news. But in the recruiting, I would have a breakthrough search. 20 years ago, maybe recruiting someone for $300,000-400,000 a year, and he would say, "Yeah, that's great. Next thing you know, you'll be recruiting the $1 million a year guys." And I would have a big speech, in front of 1,000 people or something. He'd say, "Well, next thing you know, Joe, you'll be speaking to 10,000 people." And I know that for some people that might be moving the goalposts or not appreciating where you were, but for me, it just was. He knew the man, right? He knew me, and he knew that was really motivational for me. So he shared that with me. Next thing was money doesn't grow on trees. My dad probably told me that 100,000 times growing up. And they taught me discipline. I remember this one day I'm out helping him pick up the leaves in the yard. And I was trying to go to the movies. And he said if I helped him with the leaves, he would give me money for the movie. And so I fought him so amazingly, like the brattiest kid you could imagine. And I remember one time looking up and looking how big he was and how small I was, and thinking to myself, he could just rake those leaves up. It would take him like 2 seconds, and it's going to take me 2 more hours. And that was kind of the point. He was teaching me the discipline of getting it done. So finally I finished the leaves after my 2 hours of complaining and 20 minutes of sweeping. I swept up all the leaves, and he gave me my $2 or whatever it was, and $5, and I went to the movies. So he taught me discipline. And last one was, when my father died of cancer. The nice thing about cancer, if there's a nice thing, you get some time to say goodbye, And when my dad was gearing up to go to be with the Lord, we did some driving together. And I remember this one long drive, I started asking him all kinds of questions about what was the most important lesson he wanted to teach me and my brothers and sister about life. And he thought for a really long time on that question. And then he said to me this that I'll say to you right now. He said to me, Joe, what we wanted to do, your mother and I, we wanted to teach you guys that you had a voice. And more than anything else, we wanted you to know your voice mattered. You have a voice, and your voice mattered. That was my dad's kind of, parting advice, so to speak. And a few months later, he'd be saying goodbye to us. And I remember walking outside and looking out. I literally saw the most beautiful rainbow I ever seen in my entire life. And I called my brother and my sister. I said, "You guys got to come and look at this." And they came out and looked at the most beautiful rainbow we'd ever seen. And it was as if God was saying, he's with me now. It's good. Anyway, those are the top 5 lessons I learned from my dad. My dad just cracked me up. I remember it was April 1st, the day before he died. And I remember, kind of morbid, but I remember joking with him, "You're not going to die on April 1st. He laughed and said, "Stop," because it hurt. But yeah, he went to be with the Lord the next day, April 2nd, few decades ago. Hey, if you got a dad, give him a hug or give him a call on my behalf. He was my best friend. And he was so smart. I got some good advice from him. So I wanted to share those top 5 pieces of advice with you. I mean, he was just like genius level on a couple ways. Like, you seen that show Jeopardy? We would watch Jeopardy, and I feel good about myself. I got like 3 or 4 questions right. He would just rattle them off every single time. What is this? What is that? Every single answer he knew. And he was also one of those guys where you could ask him, you could give my dad a series of numbers. I don't know if you know anybody like this, but you give him like 1,000, 172 times 868, or you just make up 2 numbers and he'd give you the answer just like that. No calculator, nothing. He was just an amazing man. And he was the other good thing, my dad had no enemies, unlike myself. He didn't rub anybody the wrong way, real soft spoken. We would go to order, fast food, Taco Bell or whatever he would order, and half the time the lady would literally say, or the person behind the counter would literally say to him, "What was that, sir?" He'd have to repeat himself because he was so soft spoken. But the one time he got really loud was when we would go to the ball games. I mean, his voice carried louder than anybody else, and you could hear it, I'm sure, in the whole stadium. He would say, "Come on, ref, I could see that call from up here. You want my seat? You can call the game better from here." And he would go on, and he would come alive in there. But anyway, good times. Thought I'd share with you the top 5 from my dad. So it's management, motivation, money doesn't grow on trees, discipline, and you have a voice. Go back and watch those and write those down and give your dad a hug. All right, April 2nd, it's the news, and got 5 stories for you. So here you go. Well, good evening, everyone. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, specifically Eastern time, where we start the top 5 news. And we're counting down the 5 stories that are going to make a difference in your life. Not what happened at Sal's Delicatessen last week or what crime went on. We think that the news can be sublime if you take out the crime and you focus on stories that might help people keep informed or keep up on what's going on. So let's begin. Just Joe Pelayo with the top 5 news. We give you all the news that you can use and nothing that would give you the blues. Nothing that would make you confused about the news. And, if your career is in high gear, or if you're just sitting in a cubicle box checking your stocks and you're trying to say game over to the work game, I'd like to suggest to you a new show with a very practical name. And once you've seen it, you'll never be the same. It's right here, the top 5 news. Counting down 5 stories in 5 minutes. Starting now. Story number 1 today. President Trump has fired Attorney General Pam Bondi and named Deputy AG Todd Blanche as the interim replacement. And this comes amid frustration and calls for arrests. And Bondi, she spoke well, but there were no arrests. And I guess things weren't happening quickly enough for the administration. The White House confirms the major shakeup at the Justice Department. Story number 4 today, President Trump addressed the nation last night on the Iran conflict, saying that the war could end in 2 to 3 weeks, but he also warned that that they will strike extremely hard with no clear off ramp. Encouraged other countries to pick up their part of the slack with clearing the Strait of Hormuz, and explained about the terrorist state of Iran. Why we're doing what we're doing. Story number 3 today is, the Strait of Hormuz affecting oil prices, and UK is rallying over 40 nations to put pressure on Iran to clear up the shipping lanes and help out with the Strait of Hormuz as energy costs go higher. Number 2 story today: a viral debate is brewing as calls online are calling for the replacement of the Pride Month in June with a Veterans Month instead, posts containing service members with Pride events gaining thousands of likes and arguing that the veterans deserve it more. And critics point out that May and November already have months for honoring veterans. But calls for Congress and presidential proclamations to denote June as a month of pride in our veterans. More deserving than the LGBT community. Your decision. That's big in the news though right now online. Story number 1 tonight. Finishing with some good news for you. NASA Artemis 2 astronauts are doing good in their orbit after yesterday's launch. They're heading for the first crewed trip around the moon in over 5 decades. NASA says all the systems are performing perfectly in a historic step towards reuniting humans to the lunar surface. That's your top 5 news for tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show. Fast, straight talk, real. Trump fires Bondi. Tough talk on Iran, oil markets, veteran pride, or gay pride. You decide. Artemis 2 soaring toward the moon for the trip around the moon. What story hits you? Drop it in the comments, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for 5 stories. Thanks for watching. Keep staying in the truth and have an amazing day. And before we go, here's a word of encouragement for you. I try to bring you one encouraging word every day also. Be encouraged, strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow.